Once upon a time, there lived two best friends, Obiora and Ikenna. Obiora and Ikenna grew up together and went into business together. Both of them were doing very well. They were making money for themselves and they were becoming very rich. Eventually, they got married. Because they were so close and best of friends, they promised each other that their children will marry each other to make them have one family. Obiora liked this, Ikenna liked this, as well as their wives. They were so close and did almost everything together. As time went on, Obiora and his wife had a son called Okafor, while Ikenna and his own wife had a child called Adora. Now it was set and agreed. Okafor will marry Adora. As Okafor and Adora grew up, as if they knew that they were destined to marry each other, they were very close. They were always playing together, and this made their parents very happy. Even as they grew up as teenagers, Adora was very beautiful, and many people always asked Ikenna for hand in marriage when she grows up. But he always tell them that Adora has been set aside for Okafor. Okafor from an early age always loved Adora. Anything she wanted, he would give it to her. Adora was very, very beautiful. Although both families were not as rich, but they were very rich. They were not wealthy, but they were very rich. And both children lived very comfortably. Until, unfortunately, one time, Obiora got into a wrong business. He entered an investment that failed and took most of his money. This made him have a stroke and he died. Because of losing her husband, his wife also had a stroke, but she didn't die. Instead, she became paralyzed and sick. Ikenna and his own family were there for Okafor, Obiора's son. They supported him in everything that the boy wanted. Okafor was moving fast to make sure that his father did not lose everything, because the investment was a bad one. The people were bad. They were trying to take everything his father had. So he was working very hard to make sure that he could provide for himself and his mother, who was now sick. They lost a lot of things, but Okafor worked very hard. They were not poor, although they were no longer rich. Now, Okafor was of age, and he told Ikenna that he wanted to marry Adora. With Adora's support, he believed that he would go to higher points in life. Adora, he said, was his chi. With Adora, he will achieve everything on this earth because of the love that she had for him. Ikenna agreed to this. Yes, Okafor had fallen on hard times, but he remembered the promise he made to his friend Obiora. Okafor was a very, very hardworking young man. He knew that Okafor will not remain in this situation long. The boy will excel. He has the passion his father had. Although his father Obiora made a mistake, he believed that Okafor will not make such a mistake. So he agreed. He told Okafor that not to worry. He will keep his promise and Adora will marry him. Okafor was happy to hear this. Now, the day for the wedding was set. Before that day, Adora's friends came to help her to prepare. Adora, so finally, you're marrying this Okafor. This man that has begun to lose all his money, are you sure it's a wise decision? Her friend Oluchi said. Why won't it be wise? Okafor is not a lazy person. He will make enough money and be rich again, her other friend Chioma said. Yes, he will, Adora said. Don't worry, Oluchi. Okafor was a hard-working person. For now, I just have to endure, you know. He doesn't have so much money anymore, but my father has promised, so I will do as my father has said. You're such a beautiful girl, Oluchi said. Even the other day, Nnamdi was asking for you. You know, Nnamdi has 4 cars. If you see this Nnamdi's house, no. It's like heaven. He was asking me the other day for your hand. He was saying he wanted to marry. Are you sure you not think about this? No, Chioma said. Don't say that. All her life, she has been with Okafor. She cannot disappoint Okafor and his family now. A promise has been made and she has to keep it. Yes, Okafor may not have money now, but he's not a lazy person now. Adara was listening to her friends. She liked the finer things of life, good clothes, gold and diamonds. Nnamdi had offered her many things. She liked the way he spent money on her, but her father had advised her not to abandon Okafor now. When Okafor's father was alive and they had money, Okafor gave her things as well. Maybe, as her father has said, let her be patient and see what happens. So she married Okafor. Once she moved in with Okafor, she immediately noticed that her mother-in-law, Okafor's mother, had to live with them because of her sickness. She was paralyzed and couldn't move around freely. So she stayed in the guest room while Okafor and his wife stayed in the matrimonial room. Now, Adora was used to having maids around her, doing everything she wanted. But because Okafor was no longer rich, he did not have any maids. So Adora had to do all the work. Hey, what's the meaning of this? So I have to enter this kitchen and cook. Adora will enter the kitchen and cook. However, the food wasn't sweet. But Okafor will never let her know. He always tell her that her food is delicious. Her mother-in-law, on the other hand, was not having it. Okafor, you better tell this your wife that she cannot cook. It is better that you send her somewhere where she will learn how to cook before she will use her food to kill you. Mama, don't say that now. You know how Adora grew up. You're just like me. We were never allowed to enter the kitchen. Is it not because now that we don't have any money again? That is why I'm entering the kitchen. Mama, leave her, she will learn slowly. If you say so, Adora will cook, clean, and wash. But she was getting tired of this. Is this what marriage is all about? Why will I be doing all this? I shouldn't be. A lady of my capacity, a lady of my caliber. My father is one of the richest men in this village. Why should I be cooking and cleaning here? We should have maids. So she told her mother-in-law that she wanted to bring in maids. But her mother-in-law refused. Adora, you cannot bring in any maids here. You have to cook and clean. This is your home. We're not even many in this house. Only me, you, and your husband. When you have children, what are you going to do? Adora did not like this. Her mother-in-law was controlling everything. Her mother-in-law said this because she wanted Adora to learn how to cook and clean. Yes, Adora did not do all these things in her own home, but it's time for her to learn it. Adora then went and told her friends, Oluchi and Chioma, can you imagine this, my mother-in-law? What did she do? Not only is she staying in my matrimonial home, you can imagine it, but she's not telling me, turning me into a slave, telling me to be cooking and cleaning. Adora. First daughter of Mazi Kenna, you cook and clean. If you go, you have seen it. You have seen it. This woman wants to turn me into a maid in my own home. It's not that bad now, Dora. You know you can't cook and clean. Maybe she wants you to learn, Chioma said. Learn what? Is it not somebody who learn to be cooking and cleaning? Hey God, are you sure I don't make mistake? Maybe I should have married Nnamdi. Hey God, what type of suffering is this? Suffering? Just cooking and cleaning. My friend, will you shut up? What did she said? Why did you told Chioma that she should shut up? Don't you remember that Adora has lived all her life with maids doing everything for her? That is why they tell people not to marry below their class. Oluchi, Okafor below her class? Yes, it's our fault that his father invested in the wrong business. Now he's below our class, and as such, Adora should have married Nnamdi, a man that would have provided her with 20 maids. What is all this? Adora, listen to me, let me warn you. You better put a handle on this situation. Don't allow your mother-in-law to control you. If that woman controls what is happening in that house, you're finished. Did you see what happened to Ogechi the other day? Her mother-in-law turned her into a slave. Anyway, a word is enough for the wise. I am leaving here. Madam Choma, continue to be doing good. Be advising her. Okay? With that, Oluchi left. And Adora thought of what her friends had said. Oluchi was right. She grew up with many maids. She cannot be turned into a slave in her own matrimonial home. She has to do something. So the next day, she told her husband that she wanted her mother-in-law to be moved to the boys' quarters. What do you mean you want her to be moved to the boys' quarters? Akafo asked her. She has to move to the boys' quarters. Why? Did she do anything to you? No. Must she do something to me? She's not allowing us enjoy our marriage. Look, listen here, Adora. My mother is the only living parent I have. I'm not going to put her in the boys' quarter. She's going to stay in the guest room. Please take care of my mother. You have known her since you were little. She is a kind woman. Yes, maybe she has been nagging you about the cooking and cleaning, but please be patient with her. Adora did not like this. Every day, her mother-in-law would tell her that she couldn't cook and she should learn how to cook, or that she couldn't clean and she should learn how to clean. Because of this, Adora went to an Ezemo, and the Ezemo gave her a substance to put in her mother-in-law's food. Once she put it in her mother-in-law's food, it won't kill her, but it will make her weak, and Adora can control her. This is what Adora did. Adora prepared a meal for her mother-in-law and put the poison in it. The mother-in-law ate it, and she became further paralyzed and weak in speaking. Adora left her in her room and would never attend to her. The woman would wet herself. She would call for Adora with her weak voice, but Adora never answered her. Once her son left, Adora would not give her anything to eat. The woman will starve until her son comes back. When Okafor comes back to see his mother, he will shout on Adora, "What is the meaning of this? Has my mother eaten anything since morning?" Yes, I gave her something. What did you give her? I gave her food. She refused to eat it. What do you mean she refused to eat it? Can't you beg her to eat? Look at how weak she's becoming. And what's that smell? Why is she smelling like this? Okafor was very sad. His mother was deteriorating. She was becoming weaker and weaker, but he did not know what the problem was. His mother was crying every day on her bed, begging the gods to take her life. She had made a mistake in allowing her son marry Adora. She suspected that Adora must have done something to her, but she couldn't prove it. She couldn't even speak up very well. She was very weak, she couldn't defend herself. Her daughter-in-law will leave her and go out with her friends, and she will stay on the bed for hours on end, hunger killing her. She will wet herself, mess herself up. She couldn't walk to the toilet, she couldn't take her bath until Adora came, and yet Adora would not help her. Mama, what is this smell? Why are you smelling like this? Look at you. Look at what is all this? Look how you're smelling. Die, you will not die. What is this? Oh yeah, eat. Eat. Your son said you should eat. Eat. Adora gave her food that had spoiled for 3 days. Because she had been hungry for many hours, the mother-in-law ate it. She did not care that the food had already spoiled. Her tummy was in pain. Oh yeah, stand up. Stand up and take your bath. Are you not the one that said you don't want any maid? Stand up and go and bath, please. What is all that smell? My daughter, please help me stand up, the mother-in-law said. But Adora hissed and walked out. Help you stand up? I bet you were here when I was trying to bring maid. You said no. Okay now. Stand up by yourself. Adora left and went to be with her friends. So the mother-in-law did as she was told by Adora. She tried to stand up to take her bath. But because she was very weak and there was nobody there to hold her, she fell down and hit her head and she died. No one was at home when she died, no one was close to her. Her son had gone out for his business, and Adora, who should have been at home with her, had gone out with her friends. Her dead body had stayed a very long time in her room. When her spirit stood up, looked around the house, disappeared, and appeared in her friend's home. Her friend turned and saw her. What is it, Mama Okafo? What happened to you? And the spirits began to speak. Now, Okafo was coming back home. When he got home, he was very sad. His business partners had failed him. The people who had promised to come to his aid had failed. Adora's father had helped him to raise some money, but the money went into a bad investment. And Okafo was very, very angry and disappointed. He went in to tell his wife, but he couldn't see Adora. So he called out for his mother, but his mother was not responding. So he went into her room to see what happened. And there he saw his mother's lifeless body, blood everywhere. Okafo screamed from the depths of his soul. His neighbors came and everyone sympathized with him. By that time, Adora had come back and her friends and family had come. Adora was crying, "Hey, Mama is gone." She cried, "My mother-in-law has died. Hey, God. God, why?" Adora cried. Now, Okafo buried his mother and then he left. He abandoned Adora and left to another village. Now, this was a big shame for Adora. For one's husband to leave her and abandon her was not a good thing. Adora was very heartbroken and disappointed. "You see, Papa, I told you that you shouldn't have allowed me to marry into this family. Look at them, they're only getting poorer and poorer and poorer." "Don't say that," her father shouted. Life, these things are not permanent in life. Change always comes. What is important is to survive the bad times so that you can enjoy when the good times come. But Adora did not listen to her father. Now it had been 2 years, 3 years, 4 years since Okafo left her and ran away. And then a man named Emeka came for her hand in marriage. Emeka was a very, very wealthy man. He had money, gold and diamonds. He lavished Adora with so many luxurious gifts, buying her anything she wanted. "This is love," Adora said. This is what she wanted. She only had to think of it, and Emeka would buy it for her. Her friends Oluchi and Chioma were happy for her. Finally, she was getting the love that she wanted. Now, Emeka asked Adora's parents for her hand in marriage, and her parents agreed because they did not want their daughter to continue to stay as someone whose husband had abandoned her. So they allowed Emeka to marry their daughter. Now, once Adora entered Emeka's house, she was happy because Emeka had many maids. So she didn't have to cook or clean like her last marriage. There were people who were here to do everything for her. However, to her surprise, one evening, while her husband and her new mother-in-law were eating, the maids did not bring out her food. "Where is my own plate of food?" she asked the maids. Then her mother-in-law, Ngozi, looked at her and said, "What do you mean by that? Are my maids here to serve you? You don't know how to cook? My friend, enter the kitchen and go and cook your food." Mama, what's the meaning of that now? Are you talking back at me? This small girl? Adora was shocked. What is happening here? There are maids here to cook the food. Why is she shouting at me now? Adora turned to her husband, Emeka, but Emeka did not look at her. Emeka was eating his food. "Emeka, did you hear what your mother said?" Yes, I heard her clearly. So what is the problem? Do you not know how to cook? My family enter that kitchen and cook your food. Adora was shocked, but that was only the beginning of her problems. Her mother-in-law, anytime she went out, would lock everywhere. Adora was not allowed to enter the kitchen without her mother-in-law's permission. Adora was not allowed to eat without her mother-in-law's permission. Adora was not allowed to sleep without her mother-in-law's permission. Adora was running mad. Even in her matrimonial room, her mother-in-law would go there and sleep on the bed. Adora would complain to her husband Emeka that his mother is overstepping her bounds. But Emeka will not listen to her. He will only hiss and leave. He warned her one day that if she ever raises her voice at his mother again or lays a hand on her, that she will be dead the next day. Adora was so scared. What is the meaning of this? She told her friends what was happening. And all she told her, just like last time now, put her under your control, just like your other mother-in-law. What are you waiting for? Then Chioma told her, Adora, I think you should leave this marriage. Something is very wrong here. Leave me. After those years that Okafor left me and people were laughing at me, no, I will not leave this marriage. I will put this woman under my thumb. So Adora went to an Ezemo, and the Ezemo gave her the same poison that she had used for her first mother-in-law. She put it in the food that she cooked and gave it to her mother-in-law. Her mother-in-law now said, "What is this, Adora?" "And Mama, you know you have always told me to be cooking, so I prepared this meal for you." "Did I tell you I was hungry?" No, Mama, it's for you. Just eat. You see, even me, I'm eating my own." Her mother-in-law hissed and left. Adora was very disappointed. It will not be easy to poison this woman. It will not be easy to put her under her control. So she went back to the Ezemo and told the Ezemo what happened. The Ezemo gave her an orange. He told her that she should put the orange under the ground at the back door of the house. When the mother-in-law passes that part, then she'll be under her control. So Adora did as Ezemo said. But the problem was, her mother-in-law never used the back door. She usually used it before when she came back from the market. She would not use the front door, she would use the back door. But this time around, for some time, she never used the back door. Adora was getting frustrated. She went back to the Ezemo and told him that these things were not working. She needs something that she can use immediately. Then the Ezemo gave her a handkerchief. Once the woman accepted the handkerchief, then she will be under her control. It was a very beautiful handkerchief. So Adora was happy. This time it would be direct. She took the handkerchief to her mother-in-law and presented it to her as a gift. "Mama, see this handkerchief I made for you. Please take it." "What type of cheap handkerchief is this?" her mother-in-law said. "Mama, no, this handkerchief is one of the best handkerchiefs there. It's one of the ones that only the royal family uses. Look at you, you pauper. Can't you see that this is a fake? Why will he gift me such a thing? I told my son not to marry somebody from your class, but he did not listen. Please get this thing away from me." "Me, Adora, poor?" "Yes, you are. Are you as rich as my son? Are you as rich as my family? Don't you know that he just picked you just because of your father? Please get this nonsense out of my sight." Adora was shocked. No one had ever referred to her as poor. In this case, Emeka was richer than her, but still, she could not be classified as poor. Adora was always crying every night because her mother-in-law did not allow her to rest. Her mother-in-law would sleep in her matrimonial bed and chase Adora out. She would lock everywhere and Adora could not cook or eat. One night, Adora had gone to see her friends and came back late, and her mother-in-law locked her outside of the house. Adora had to sleep outside with mosquitoes. She begged and begged, but no one came to open the door. The next day, she was shouting at her husband and her mother-in-law. "How could you do this to me? Do you know whose daughter I am? How dare you?" As she was shouting, her husband slapped her. "If you raise your voice at my mother again, I have warned you. The next day you'll be dead." Now, Adora went back to her friends and told them what happened. Oluchi then suggested, "Adora, why don't you become pregnant? Maybe if you're pregnant with her grandchild, she'll be nicer to you." "How can I get pregnant when the woman is always sleeping on our bed? We can't even do anything with her there." Adora, I think you need to get your husband in a separate room and try and get pregnant. Maybe with this grandchild, she will leave you alone. And so, that is what Adora tried to do. She tried to get pregnant. Unfortunately, it wasn't working. Not just because of her mother-in-law, but because Emeka was sleeping with other women. Emeka was not like Okafor. Emeka did not love her like Okafor did. Emeka only bought her expensive things. He did this to every woman that he liked. The problem was, he liked too many women. Emeka slept around. He slept with anything that had a skirt. He was very promiscuous. But eventually, Adora was able to get a hold of him, and they slept together one night. The next day, Adora's private parts began to itch her. Before she knew it, her entire hips were paining her. Now, they sent for a herbalist, and the herbalist told Adora that she was sick. And this type of sickness can cause an infection that will kill her. The problem was the sickness had spread. It was moving fast, and very soon Adora would die. Adora was crying and crying. What can she do? Because of this sickness, she couldn't move, so she always had to lay on the bed in her room. And her mother-in-law did not take care of her. Her mother-in-law would just leave her there without giving her any food, any water to drink, nothing. She left Adora for days, and Adora began to smell. Because of the disease Adora had, it became worse. Adora slowly began to remember her late mother-in-law. And she would cry and cry. And she would beg the gods to have pity on her. One night, as she was crying in her room, her mother-in-law came in. "Why are you crying?" she asked her. "Why are you crying?" Adora turned and looked at her mother-in-law, Ngozi. She began to beg, "Mama, please, if I've offended you in any way, please forgive me. Please forgive me. Give me food, I've been hungry for days. Help me take a bath, I smell so much." "Oh, so now you know how it feels, isn't it?" Adora was surprised that she would say that. "What do you mean, Mama?" "Don't call me Mama. Don't you remember Okafor's mother? Do you not remember what you did to her?" Adora was surprised. How could her mother-in-law, Ngozi, know what she did to Okafor's mother? Then Ngozi told her that the day that her late mother-in-law died, her spirit appeared to her. Ngozi and Okafor's mother were childhood friends from long ago. They were tied by a bond, an oath that they took. And because of that oath, when one dies, the other one will know. So the day that her late mother-in-law died, her spirit appeared to Ngozi and told Ngozi all that had happened to her. Because of that, Ngozi wanted to deal with Adora. How can you be so wicked? This is a woman who knew you from the day you were born. She took you not only as her daughter-in-law, but as her daughter. Is it bad that she wanted you to learn how to cook and clean? Is it bad that she wanted you to be a good wife? You left her for days to starve. You left her for days to smell. Yet, you do not have compassion for her situation. Now you're begging and crying for my help? Adora, you see this bed? You will die on this bed. Your wickedness will kill you here. And with that, she turned and left. Adora began to cry and beg, Mama, please have mercy on me. Please help me. Please help me. Nobody in Adora's family knew what was happening to Adora. Emeka and his mother did not tell them, so they did not know that Adora had a disease and was dying. But out of pity, her mother-in-law Ngozi went and told her parents what was happening. And she told her parents what Adora did to Okafor's mother. She told them that Okafor ran away not because of his failed businesses, but because of Adora. He knew that his mother was suffering in the hands of Adora, but because he loved Adora too much, he didn't take immediate action. And because his mother had died, he felt guilty and ran away. On hearing this, Adora's parents went and took their daughter. They were very disappointed. By this time, Adora was very close to death as the disease had spread everywhere. She was close to dying. The herbalist had said that the drug that would be used to heal Adora was very expensive and very rare. So all Adora had to do was wait for death. She stayed in her father's house, sick every day, her mother taking care of her. Adora began to tell her mother all she did, asking her mother to help her beg Okafor's late mother for forgiveness. But one day, when all thought that Adora would not make it, Okafor came. Okafor, by this time, was a very wealthy man, richer than Emeka, as rich as the king. He came with the plants that the herbalist had asked for. It was rare and expensive. Okafor said that he had heard what had happened to Adora, and he went in search for the leaf. He gave it to the herbalist, and the herbalist was able to use it to cure Adora. And Adora was able to survive. Adora begged Okafor for forgiveness, telling him that she was sorry. Okafor accepted her apology. However, Okafor was now married, and his wife had already given him 2 children.
I